to Leominster Access Television and another, been a long time, episode of CityScope. And today we are going to talk about the Leominster Athletics Booster Club. And I'm pleased to be sitting here with Rick Marchand and Mr. Dave Palazzi. And Rick, you are the chairman of the Booster Club. Is that
probably
true?
By default.
By default. Well, that's a good way. I mean,
we've been around the Booster Club, the football and chair for a few years, and when we transitioned into this for this year.
So there's no conclave, and they put the white smoke in when they get a new chairman like that.
Well, no, I don't think so. Absolutely not.
So tell me a little bit about what's going on here.
Well, we'll start with Dave first.
Sure.
Yeah, no, this was an incredible thing that's happening in Leominster, particularly for our athletic, programs. The school committee had accepted this Booster Club as being, one of the clubs that they're going to accept fundraising efforts for our athletic programs across the board for all teams. In the past, we've had 4 or 5 different booster clubs that have done specific things for certain teams, but I think, this is a way where we have an opportunity to really support all of our athletic teams and really, give them a boost. I think the city does a great job at this time of funding our programs with the current equipment that they need, the busing, the officials, and all of those things. The school department and the city of Leominster do a good job of funding thus far. So this Booster Club is created more or less kind of to boost programs for large ticket items like pitching machines or field hockey machines that we can throw balls against. So anything that a specific sport would want, that's a high priced item. I mean, in the past the school has supported that, but you kind of have to wait 3 or 4 years in the cycle, so until it gets to your
it's got to go through the budget. Right?
Exactly. So this is a way, and a lot of teams, they want the sports gear, they want the bag. So teams have fundraised in the past for those extra items, but I think, I really believe, and I got to commend Coach Marchand. I call him Coach. He's done a terrific job getting a lot of people involved and really driving home the point of one booster club, just like we're one family at the high school, and having the ability to raise a large amount of money, we hope, to really support all of these programs, to bring them above and beyond really where we are today. And I think, or I know from the past of what we've done with football and what some of these other clubs are doing currently, I think it's a home run, and I think people are going to see the benefit, in the number of things we're trying to do. So that's really the gist of, kicking this thing off. Really, it's at its infancy stage now in the spring, because we still have some spring sports. We're going to finish out this year, and then in March, I'm sure Coach will talk about, the fundraiser at the Booster Club and all the work they've done to put this together and really, go all out for the next school year now, and then, obviously in the fall.
So let me just get this straight, and I'll direct this at you. This is independent of the actual school department.
Correct.
So from what I understand in the past, like the football team had the football boosters, the soccer team had so this is like all-encompassing. It's one booster club.
Correct.
That can pretty much buy that or help purchase a big ticket item for whatever sport needs that. Why don't you?
Well, it's not necessarily a big ticket item.
Okay.
It's all of the other things that teams need to have a quality program. And in the past, we've had isolated support for teams based on who the parents are at the time or the enthusiasts for the sports. So I had daughters that went through Leominster High School. They played 3 sports. 4 actually, one also cheered. So as a parent, you were always trying to help the coach out if there was money that was needed to do a little bit of fundraising, cheerleaders going to the nationals, things like that, warm-up jackets, suits. But what happened was over the years, going back to approximately Prop 2.5, at that time when there were deep cuts in athletics in Leominster, going back in 1981, Parents for Football, Friends for Football started a real aggressive effort at that time, where what they did was they raised money to supplement the budget that was tight, but to also support coaches that were not in the budget, that were eliminated. So over the years, what's happened is we have found, people that have taken it to the next level where they would have continuity instead of just the parents with the coach at the time that the kids are playing, and then when the kids graduate or stop playing the sport, the coach loses that support mechanism. So we were fortunate in Leominster to have a football club going back to approximately 2011. There was a 501c. We transferred that 3 years ago into the football and cheer to take the cheerleaders on because they didn't have a place to call their home. The baseball people have done a great job under the head coach and his group. We also have a hockey group that needed to supplement ice time and things like that for the kids. And we also have a lacrosse program as well for the boys only. So at the end of the day, Jack, the boys have been fortunate. And, you know, I feel we have to catch up to the girls. And so with the concept of the Booster Club is to make sure that all the money that is raised goes to both boys and girls sports at Leominster High School. It may not be 100% equitable, and an example would be football equipment would cost a lot more than lacrosse equipment, but we're going to assure in the spirit of the law that the girls have the best equipment they can get. And that goes beyond the school budget. We do have a great school budget in place. Superintendent's never been more supportive. School committee's been great. I'm really excited to work for them to be able to do this. But when we go to schools like Algonquin and Shrewsbury High and Westboro High School, Neshoba, we go to different kinds of communities with different demographics, and our kids are showing up, you know, with trash bags for plastic jackets when it's raining, and their kids are, you know, decked to the hilt with all their equipment and everything. We want our kids to look great. We want them to feel great, and we want to inspire their participation, take the pressure off the coaches from having to worry about fundraising, and do it for all the kids. So we have a great team of people. A board of directors that I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Yep. But what's happened is our first charge with the athletics going into the spring was the athletics. We're fortunate enough to be able to replace baseball uniforms that haven't been replaced in almost 7 years now. And then the girls softball, they had a few replacements last year, but they need new uniforms. And the girls lacrosse, because the boys program, we want to take care of the girls lacrosse. So the next thing you know, we're buying brand new uniforms for softball, varsity JV, lacrosse, varsity JV. The whole set, you know, from the socks to the belts to the pants to the hats to the full uniform. It's all state of the art. You know, so those are some of the things we're looking forward to. Our first fundraiser is actually going to be dedicated to be able to take care of those two items for the school department.
Okay, so I think one of the other things too is, you know, we can certainly buy uniforms as a school department, but, you know, as a school department and them being the Booster Club being a separate entity, we're going to accept, you know, funds from them through the school committee. But this will free us up more to do more and other things in other areas of our programs to provide if they're providing support for uniforms. But I think what Coach hit the nail on the head. I mean, some sports have travel bags. Some sports do not. Some sports have sweats and hoodies and everything. Some sports do not. So I think this gives all of the programs that do not currently have a booster club. We have upward of about 33 programs throughout the fall, the winter, and the spring. So this allows all of them to have some place to call home if they want to organize something very quickly to get done. And I just think, you know, it's hard to look at it now where people have been stuck in their ways doing what's best for each program. But this is just going to bring us together, which was my goal when I took this job, that we're all one family, Blue Devil family, taking care of each other, wishing each other success, and everybody treated equally and fairly so they can operate really on a level playing field. So everybody's happy. Not, well, why are they doing this for football and why aren't they doing it for soccer, or why is hockey get this? So this is really going to be a balancing effect of all the programs.
Yeah. 8 years ago, Jack, if I may, volleyball took off. And what happened was at that particular time, I was actually the head coach at Shrewsbury High School. And traditionally speaking, we had a makeup JV team and a pretty good turnout for varsity. This particular year, we had 127 girls try out for volleyball. I became the head coach 2 days before the first tryout. I went to the athletic director and asked him if we could keep a JV2 team along with a 1 team, 18 girls on a team, 15 on the varsity. He just didn't have the money in the budget. When you start taking a look at, you know, the standards that you need, the uniforms, the balls, safety equipment, things like that, there was no money. he set me up immediately for a Wednesday night meeting with the Booster Club that happened to be meeting the next week. I brought my varsity captains who we had in place. We talked to them about expanding the program, how we wanted to make this an opportunity for a lot more girls than the norm. They asked us what we were going to do for fundraising. We did a car wash, we did a bake sale, we raised about $800. They spent $15,353 on equipment for us. And because it was the Booster Club, they were able to order the equipment, including the uniforms, and get them to us within the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. As a school department, Dave has to jump through hoops because of the way municipal government works to be able to purchase things. So we have a lot of buying power, but we can also fill gaps where the school department isn't aware that this is going to happen and it's not in the budget at that particular time. So we're looking forward to that problem happening in Leominster and being able to help them with it.
I've got a couple questions, but I'm going to start with a donation made. Is that a tax deductible donation? Okay.
It is. We are a 501c.
Okay.
And what happened was the Football and Cheer Club took a vote the last week of December this year to transition into the Booster Club. And by doing that, there were only some small modifications in the articles of organization that we had to submit to the Attorney General's office. And by the time we went to the school committee on the 21st, everything had been taken care of it as of 4:30 that day. Yep. So we are a 501c. 100% of our money goes back to the kids. No one on the board benefits from any of the money that's given to us as far as a donation or anything is concerned. So that, that's where we're going with it. So
another point I wanted to make, like looking at, I know money is always a tough thing nowadays.
It is.
And being in Leominster, especially in the position I'm at, I hear all kinds of murmurings. One murmuring which I hear a lot of is that they spend too much money on athletics. Now, I'm a firm believer, okay, and I imagine that you two are also, that through extracurricular activities, and in particular athletics, kids learn a lot more than just reading, writing, arithmetic. They learn the stick-to-itness. They learn teamwork. They learn how to solve problems as groups, how to take defeat, how to overcome defeat and succeed. Now, these are all important life lessons. These are life lessons that you're not going to get in the classroom. So do you have anything to say about that in terms of like those lessons?
I wish I had the statistics on me. The statistics are so alarming, particularly for girls' sports.
Right. Girls
that play sports, the level of self-esteem that is raised, grades are higher across the board, both males and females. Female participation rates in athletics, obviously self-esteem, a lot of mental health is boosted by doing that. Like you talked about, discipline, teamwork for all sports. I mean that's another day for a whole program with the statistical data that I could provide. And I've mentioned it in a couple parent meetings that I've had, that they stick out so tremendously that you would be remiss not to think twice about putting your kid into athletics, just to try something, particularly at the middle school. We have middle school programs, just track programs to get involved, cross country, just to get them involved in something. It's definitely a bonus for our district with MCAS testing and our educational side of what we do in this district. But you hit the nail on the head. I mean, athletics being a part of that is huge.
Growing up, YMCA, Springfield College, 3 parts: spirit, mind, and body. And I do a lot of film restoration, and we were really lucky to get some stuff from Gardner from the 1930s that showed what was going on at Gardner High School, and all of that was included. The gym classes, the athletics were an important part, more so, I think, than today. I think we realize how important it is, but because of budgetary constraints, we've tended to put that on the back burner. And I mean, I know when I take my grandkids out and I bring them to the gym, when they get home, they're 100 times better. They're able to sit there and relax and to concentrate. It's just a part of us that we need. And I'm glad, that you guys are doing this to open it up to more kids.
And you raised a good point. I mean, with this Booster Club, I mean, I obviously, my thoughts and ideas about certain things with financial support, that we don't get supported with now, a trainer, a nutritionalist, putting some after-school programs at the high school for some of our student athletes or for anybody that's doing it. I mean, nutrition is enormous with a student's mental health, their activity levels, all of those things, sleep. Those are some things that we've now incorporated. I know a lot of our track coaches talk about those types of things, just diet and rest.
And these are, again, to say it, talk about budgetary constraints.
Right.
As you get older, when you get into Medicare and you get into insurance, if you didn't learn how to take care of your body, whatever you've pretty much earned in your lifetime, you're going to end up peeing away to the, the giant hospitals, the insurance companies. So, I mean, it's just a great thing to build that foundation of, like, the body, spirit, mind, and body.
Jack, it always has been, but it's more so today. I look at athletics as being a form of dropout prevention, and we need to help the kids. We have right now currently in the Leominster High School program an average of 58% of the kids per season that are on free and reduced lunch. And if you take a look at some of the specific sports, it's climbing into the 80% area. And what happens at the end of the day, the funds that Dave can generate as the athletic director off user fees is really significant, but not significant enough to be able to take his program to the next level. An example of that is that the Leominster boys just defeated a strong school from Shrewsbury High School in boys basketball this past week. Leominster High School per season has a strong $15,000 intake on fees on the average, and then depending on the $50 or the $100 category, or even free for that matter, Dave has a hard time collecting the rest of the money. And he can't say to a kid, you can't play, because it's all about getting the kids out, like you guys have alluded to. Shrewsbury High School takes in $93,000 per season. They inject $93,000 per season above and beyond the budget that's almost double his per season into their athletics. And so what happens is we need to do this. We believe we need to do it, and because of the demographics and to make sure we get the kids playing. And it's going to go beyond fundraising. We're actually going to be going into the communities and actually encouraging groups to be able to start getting involved in youth sports in town here. Because we're seeing it, for example, in Lassie League, we're seeing it in the Little Leagues, we're seeing it in all the leagues for the most part, where there are declining enrollments, but the populations remain constant. So we're hoping to do some really cool things here where we have homecoming, like a homecoming event where we have things happening at Doyle, all in the fall where all the kids are down there enjoying themselves, playing, do it again in the springtime, maybe something in the winter. Just start getting kids down to the field to enjoy being part of the school, but also to encourage them maybe to try out for some of these teams.
Okay, so now that we know what this is all about, how can we get involved?
Well,
how can we help?
First of all, people can make a donation at any time. And Jack's going to be putting up with LTV where you can mail the check into it, basically Leominster High School, and the check is made out to the LHS Athletics Booster Club. So you can either drop it off or mail it in. We have an event taking place at Brady's, brand new restaurant off of Mechanic Street in Leominster. It's going to be taking place on the 31st. From 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to have light appetizers there, and we're going to really kick this whole thing off. We're hoping that night to generate enough funds to be able to take care of the expenses for the new uniforms for the varsity and JV teams of both girls softball and girls lacrosse. So we do have a guest speaker that night, Jimmy Remy. He's scheduled unless something comes up, where he can't come down, but for the most part, we're going to see him and other people too.
Let's talk a little bit about Jim Remy.
Yeah.
Because I happen to know him.
Right.
He was my ski coach at Pheasant Run. And, recently I've reconnected with him through the reunions we've been having for Pheasant Run. And he's supposed to be in town tomorrow because there's it's the senior games at Mount Wachusett, so I'll be racing. He's going to naturally crush me. But he's from Leominster.
Right.
And he played football back, I believe, his senior year football was 71. And this guy became the president of the Professional Golfers Association. I mean, he chums with guys like Tiger Woods. I mean, he's the real deal.
Right.
And anytime he comes back to Leominster, his hometown, he talks about what he learned playing football for Huckanigan.
Right.
Skiing in that little hill, Pheasant Run, and how that foundation gave him a toehold to get to where, you know, he went.
Right.
President of the PGA. I mean, that's a big deal.
That's
and
amazing.
He never forgot his hometown.
Yeah.
So I love it when he comes back here and he'll talk about that.
We were fortunate to have him 3 years ago speak to the football team the night before Thanksgiving. It was a great success.
Yeah.
But it all came back to everything he said. He didn't talk about his resume and his accolades. He went right back to what it was like to play at Leominster High School, what it meant to him, and how it carried him into his life. It was fantastic. But, you know, we're looking for donations.
Okay.
So we have a solicitation letter. It's ready to go out. We have a Facebook page that just got launched this afternoon. We're working on a website and all the different social media that comes around it. We have a great team of people, if I can introduce them to you in a couple of minutes. And we need help. So it doesn't matter what the donation is. For Brady's, for example, we're asking for a $25 donation. We're going to have we're going to have raffle baskets there that are thematic, so people can take some chances out on a raffle basket. If they want to come in and just make a donation, they can. We're really looking forward to it. Again, that's on Tuesday night, which is an off night for Brady's, and it will be from 5:30 to 7:30.
What's the date again?
March 31st.
Okay.
March 31st. So when we started this, it took a year to bring the Booster Club together. And the main reason was what's going to happen to the existing clubs and all the other efforts. Nothing's really going to change as far as parent involvement. So, for example, the football team. They have pasta dinners on Thursday night. They're going to continue. They have a Thanksgiving banquet as well. They're going to continue. They're going to do some things for the kids. They can do it. But it's all under the guidelines of Title IX and also MIAA regulations. Every other team, whether it's hockey, baseball, lacrosse, any other team, they have parents. We're encouraging parents to get involved and do grassroots fundraising for the team. So what happens is MIAA governs how many fundraisers you can do within a season and out of season. So what happens is right now, for example, the 4 booster clubs have to file 4 different tax forms every year to the IRS. And there's really no way for anyone else to be legal. It's just kind of, you know, off the cuff, you just do a fundraiser and you put it into the school account, and then you use it as you can. What's going to happen now is the booster club's taking all the pressure off of all of that. We have an accountant who's actually a financial analyst for the YMCA on the state level. You know, so what would happen is we also work with the local accountant that does our taxes. So, for example, softball does a car wash, and they make $500–600. The money gets deposited into the booster club account. There's a line item for softball. That money is dedicated and committed to softball. We don't use that for the general purpose. We do our own fundraising to do the things we need to do to help all the teams. But what would happen is when the coach and the parents decide they need a little money, they're going to have a pizza party, they need to run up to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy some DeMarini bats. They've got the money to do it, and if they can't make it all, we supplement them with that. So that's how that works out. So the pressure's off everyone from having to do this, and especially the coaches. We want the coaches to be coaches, not fundraisers. We want to take the pressure off so they can do their job.
Okay. You said you wanted to mention some of the people that were involved.
Yeah, we have. I'll go through it quickly because I know we're kind of tight on time. We have Mike Griffin, who's the vice president, who's been around the Lassie League in softball for over 30 years. Jimmy Jarose, who's the treasurer. He's also the financial analyst, and he works directly for the YMCA, former co-owner of Union Products here in Leominster. We have Jimmy Philbin, who's was a treasurer for the football club, helping out with finances. Jolene Constance, our administrative clerk, takes care of a lot of things behind the scenes in the documentation of minutes and things like that, who's also working for the Veterans Agency. Lori Benoit, who owns 3 businesses in town. She's our Title IX compliance officer. We can't spend a nickel until she signs off on it to make sure we're in compliance. We have Kathy Taylor, who's also one of the leaders with the boys lacrosse team and football. And Kathy's going to be putting together our alumni group and parent connection. Kelly Marciano was brought in as the 3-decade coach at Leominster High School to be the liaison for the coaches. Mark LaPrade, who we know works with some radio stations, is our social media director. Jen Savatelli is the clerk of the works. She works with the cheerleaders, but she also works with the baseball and football. Linda Philbin is the assistant clerk. Jamie Perla, who's a graduate, is a clerk of the works. Anytime we need something that we can't figure out how to do it, Jamie does it. We have Melissa Quelf, who's a director. She's also been really helpful with the the financial mechanisms in order to put together solicitation letters and things like that from Rollstone Bank. And then we have shared responsibilities. We have parents starting to come to the meetings, coaches starting to come to the meetings. We meet every other week at the Veterans Center from 11 to 1 on a Sunday. We take care of our business. Everyone has their assignments. We move out, we take care of it, and we report back on a daily basis through email. And we'll be reporting to the school committee probably quarterly, even though we only have to go back once a year. We were going to do it seasonally, but we'd like to go in and give them updates from time to time on what's happening.
Okay, good. We have to end it. But anyway, we can do another show later on as this thing develops.
Yeah.
It was wonderful having you guys.
Oh, thanks for letting us. Yeah.
Don't be strangers.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
No.
CityScope's been a long time on the back burner.
I know.
Let's bring it back.
We'd love to come back and keep you guys informed and update and everything. But in all seriousness, it's about raising funds, and it's a grassroots effort. And, if people can make a donation, again, they can go up to Leominster High School and just say this is for the Athletic Booster Club, and the principal will take care of it.
We'll put the graphic up.
And it's an easy acronym, LHS ABC.
LHS ABC. And that's where we're going to end it.
All right.
Gentlemen,
Go
thank
Blue.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.